Good evening, everybody. This is Darius Assemi, your host at GVY Unfiltered. Sorry about the delay. We got a little late start, but we're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff tonight uh, about ice cold weather. I'm not sorry, not ice cold weather. That's coming up hopefully in January, but and we wish we had some cooler weather. Although we're going to talk about that here in a minute, but we're not going to get cooler weather. But we are going to talk about what's happening in the farming community, farm workers, and what's happening on the federal level. So we have Manuel Cunha, president of Nisei Farmers League, joining us tonight. Manuel, good evening. I'm going to get back to Manuel in a few minutes. But Manuel is going to be on with us to discuss ICE, farm workers. I don't know if Manuel is going to talk about construction and hospitality industries too, but he's got a lot of ideas up his sleeve on how to address our immigration issues and ICE. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that here in a brief few minutes. Let's start off with the weather forecast, which is going to be nice and hot. Triple digits again on Thursday. And doesn't look like there is any cooling inside, but no rain or no snow or no ice yet. Would you support a third political party called the America Party if it were created by Elon Musk? And over half of you said yes. 39% said no, two-party system is enough. That's what President Trump wants. And said the third party is going to create confusion. Although there's folks that go, hey, Republicans are not giving us the answers. I mean, deporting a lot of people, and Manuel is going to talk about that. And I'm going to ask Manuel, if ICE was going to be successful, who's going to mow our front lawn? Those of us that have lawn service. But he'll get to that here in a minute. And of course, who's going to pick our fruit and build our homes? Okay, next poll. What is the right deportation policy for the United States? Almost half said deport all undocumented immigrants. So the question is, again, who's going to mow your lawn and pick your fruit and frame your homes, build your homes, etc. Okay, let's quickly get into TSA set to let airport travelers keep their shoes on. GVY had an article from Reuters. And then Trump criticized for using anti-Semitic Shylock to describe bankers. President Trump drew criticism for using the anti-Semitic term Shylock to describe some bankers during remarks on his signature tax cut and spending legislation that just passed Congress. Think of that: no death tax, no estate tax, no going to the banks and borrowing from, in some cases, a fine banker, and in some cases, Shylocks and bad people. I don't know why. I mean, it wasn't referring to any particular group, so I don't know why he got backlash. Okay. Tucker Carlson aired interview with the president of Iran. What's interesting about that is most mainstream media don't have the other side. And Tucker Carlson has has interviewed the president of Iran that I know CNN hasn't, Fox News pretty sure hasn't, and he asked him some very pointed questions. You know, are you going to hit the United States with a ballistic missile and nuclear bomb, amongst other things? So I encourage you to watch that interview between Tucker Carlson and the president of Iran. And I wish that more media outlets, excuse me, would have both sides. We typically hear from one side of the equation. We want both sides. So, okay, let's see. Next item to cover. So that's on, again, Tucker Carlson. Israeli military officials say Iran hit some military sites last month. Many sites in Israel were hit. We don't know the extent because Israel is, I think, curbing journalists from reporting the extent of the damage, but some of the damage. I mean, there's so much on YouTube and Facebook on the attacks that folks have videoed and are sharing on social media. Gaza ceasefire can be reached, but may take more time, Israeli officials say. And there's a freedom flotilla to set sail again. July 13th, Handala will depart from Syracuse, Italy, to break Israel's illegal blockade. The mission is for the children of Gaza. More on that on uh, gvwire.com. Again, just weeks ago, Israeli forces illegally seized our boat, Madeleine, and abducted 12 unarmed civilians aboard her in international waters. For more information on that, check out gvwire.com. And there you go. Let's put slides. Okay, you have 13 on. By the way, before I bring in, I think now we're going to get to our main guest, and let's bring Manuel on. And actually, before we bring in the NFL, no, Nisei's Farming League, not the National Football League, but here's here's my point on what's happening in that part of the world. And I've said it many times on this program. And it's, Israel, which is founded in 1948 with British and US help, and has got a lot of European, mainly United States aid, military, financial aid, military aid, etc., is an incredible story in the Middle East. On one hand, they have a lot of advanced technology, farming techniques, desalination techniques. There's a couple of Israeli companies, factories in Fresno. Manuel there was an irrigation company. I can't think of the name of it right now, by the airport, that they had invented this drip irrigation. Came out of Israel, out of a kibbutz in Israel. So there's a lot of smart and intelligent folks. They do a lot of good. And by the way, there's a lot of Israelis that until October 7th, probably on October 6th, were trying to not overthrow, they were trying to get rid of their prime minister. There's lots of protests. We forget that. Lots of protests in the streets by a lot of smart Israelis. And some of those folks are protesting current Israeli actions in Gaza. So Israel does a lot of, is an incredible story in the Middle East. Lots of technology, lots of advancements, lots of innovation, including companies that do a lot of spyware that governments use, but it also doing some bad things in that part of the world. And for Israel's sake and our sake in the United States, I hope that forget the ceasefire. There needs to be the solution in my mind, and I've said it. Every U.S. president has said it too, but there's no action. Is a two-state solution where Palestinians and Israelis live side by side. They're both Semites. They came from that part of the world. I mean, there's a lot of folks, Israelis that have immigrated from Europe, Eastern Europe, Germany, Poland, parts of America, North America. But a lot of the Semites, Arabs are Semites, Palestinians are Semites, have lived in that part of the world together. And really, to have peace in that region, we need to have peace between these two groups. But it doesn't look like there's going to be peace anytime soon. Now there's conversations about how do we move the whole folks, all of Palestinians, off of Gaza Strip. Okay, let's bring in Manuel. And if you have comments, please put them up. If you have good questions, I'll read them, and Manuel will try to address it. So Manuel, Nisei Farmers League, you've been a big vocal person on immigration, labor, and regulatory reform over the decades. And I've known you, gosh, I don't know how many years I've known you, probably several decades. and we've worked on immigration issues, comprehensive immigration reform, which our government has not executed or performed or honored. Um, you have a lot of thoughts on what's going on with ICE and comprehensive immigration reform. Um, you've had several roundtables on this issue. So let me turn the table over to you. Where do you see? Let me start with locally. What's happening with the farm workers that are here? I'm going to assume majority of them are undocumented. Is that a true statement, Manuel? Farm workers.
Yeah, we have a pretty good sized number of unauthorized workers in agriculture in California, in the San Joaquin Valley, and even across the rest of the country. And I think, Darius, I think we can call them frontline workers and essential workers. They were so important during COVID. These workers in this valley, in this country, they kept the world going on food. And a few years after COVID, or a year after COVID, two after COVID, now we kick them in, you know what, and we saying, get out of the country, you illegal alien. But yet those workers and the growers put their lives on the line to feed the world. And nobody worried about their status at that time. It was just as long as I got food and I can raid the toilet paper off the grocery store shelves. But they forgot about them. But your question, absolutely, we're at a high number. We're at a high number of unauthorized workers in agriculture and in the rest of our great industries.
Where do you see this debate going? Is there President Trump was going to back off on deporting undocumented farm workers? Is that back on? Where do you see this debate going? Because it's not only farm workers. It's in construction. It's in hospitality. It's in again people that mow your lawns. People that there's so many of the jobs that American citizens don't want, but our country will fall apart if the 11 million or the 15 million, I don't know what the number is, undocumented workers are deported.
The the direction in which we're hearing every day from the White House on last Friday, the 4th of July, the president, and as he was in Ohio, he spoke completely about not wanting to hurt agriculture and the farm workers, and to have the farm, the employers, sign something that says this worker is dedicated, has worked for me for 20, 30 years. For agriculture, hotels, and related industries and other industries. Our country depends on the immigrants that are here working. Yes, they are unauthorized because Congress has failed for the last 30 years to grant some type of work program for these people, and even to have a viable guest worker program for industries, not just my industry, but hotels, construction, even as simple as the people that mow the lawns, take care of your gardens, make your place look really nice, because you don't have the time because maybe both people are working to survive, to make ends meet, but you have somebody taking care of your yard. We estimate that in our industries, we have about close to 8 to 9 million unauthorized people working in the United States that hold this country together with the rest of the world. You take them away, as your survey showed, then God help you with the food in the grocery store. Excuse me. It is not going to be in the grocery store. You're not going to have a restaurant open. You're not going to have the hotels for people to go to conferences. And oh, by the way, the people that live in houses. We have such a massive shortage already. Darius, if you remember, excuse me, that in 1999, we did a welfare to work. Congress passed the Reform Act by Clinton that says we're going to use welfare to work people in our industries. We were told by Congress we're not going to pass any immigration bill because you have to use the workers that are on welfare and unemployment. And we put that together. That story is now going to appear in the LA Times. When I testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee in 1999 with the State of California Employment Development, Fresno State, City College, Bakersfield, San Joaquin, all of those institutions were part of a huge putting unemployment people, welfare people to work in agriculture because we had a massive shortage that year, big shortage. Training by the EDD, everything went on, finding rides for people, child care services, all of that went on. We had 504 applicants apply for jobs, and we needed approximately 70,000 workers.
Wow.
To
That's
pick
incredible.
cherries. Yeah, and only 504 in the report that I testified before the Senate committee. The full testimony is there. 3 actually applied for work that actually went to work of the 500 and something that applied, but only 3 actually committed. Of the 3, here's the really part that just says, what have we done? Where are we headed as a country? One of the workers got lost going to the job site. The second worker worked a half a day. The third worker claimed to the unemployment office for workers' comp, and he never appeared on the job site, but he was claiming for workers' comp.
There you go.
So when I look at that, I think the greatest thing that our immigrants, that we've all that have been families of immigrants, is the greatest thing we've ever been taught, and that's work ethics. We've taught that you work hard and you work and you develop and produce and set forth for your families to cherish down the road. Today, our welfare and unemployment is the greatest employer in the world. We employ more people for welfare and unemployment, and I'm sorry, they don't do anything. These workers that work in the construction industry, who in the heck is going to go climb a roof and put down tile? Who's going to lay sheetrock? Who's going to pour concrete? Who's going to pick the melons, the peaches, the plums, the vegetables, the chicken eggs, the livestock? All of the stuff that makes us as a healthy country as well as other nations. And when I see a report that says they want 52% of the people to go back, that's fine. What about if rather than seeing the movie A Day Without a Mexican, now it's going to be a day without farm workers, restaurant workers, hotel workers, trucking workers? Now what is this country going to look like? It is going to be abandoned, no question asked. If you kick out the farm workers, that's fine. Then good luck on finding food to eat. There's been a rumor that, Darius, you'll probably see it and hear it. Today, I got an Instagram. I'm not a tech guy. I'm really not really, I don't know how to do those things. So I love the typewriter and the fax machine.
There you go.
But I got a message sent to me today. And I will say this to you. It is time to strike in the United States. Coming from the agricultural industries of the United States, the farm workers and the families across the country. And the comment was, one for all for one, including all other industries need to partner. So now you hear that going on. You hear that type of talk.
So basically, Manuel, I think what you're saying is if Americans, because I have friends that say, hey, the people that a lot of people on our show on Unfiltered over the months and years have said, if you're here, if you're undocumented, you're here illegally, and if you hire an illegal, you're breaking the law. Uh, but the so I think your response is, okay, then let's get everybody that's here undocumented to not work. I don't know if it's a day or a week or continues, just not work. Go on strike and not work, and see the impacts on our country's economy, on our lifestyle, which is to the point that I made a few weeks ago. And you started it. You started the show tonight with that. Is is our government's failure to address legal immigration, because you have a need, you have a demand in our country for labor that is not being met locally. And
Correct.
so what do businesses do? They go, okay, we have this demand, we have this need that local folks, you just gave us three fantastic examples of what happened to the local folks that applied. And not every case is like that. We get that. But if the government doesn't address the needs of an industry, and the outside world, whether it's Mexico, El Salvador, Central America, wherever it may be. By the way, isn't is it, there was a stat I was reading. This is about a decade ago. 40% of undocumented, the people that are here illegally, actually landed in a plane and are not didn't necessarily walk across the Rio Grande or the Mexican American border. But we can get to that at a later date. But government needs to address the needs. If the demand is there, and people go, oh my gosh, if I can just somehow get into the United States, I can make a better life. I can make more money, whether I send it back to my home country or spend it here. But the demand is there, and the demand is there because why? We want to buy homes. We want to buy fruit. By the way, we want to buy watermelon at $6 each and not $30 each. You want to buy a cantaloupe at $3 a piece and not $8 to $10 a piece. And and those and I think your suggestion is that what you're saying is some folks are going. The talk is, if all undocumented workers went on strike, then the country will feel the damage that's going to happen from our lifestyle to our economy to the affordability. I mean, really, how many people can replace the 10 or 11 million undocumented? Not very many. And do the tough job. Not all of them have tough jobs, but majority have difficult jobs that Americans don't want to do. American citizens don't want to do. Let's see what else we have cooking. Let's put slide 23 back up. Some great stats. We've had it up a few times tonight. 33% of states' prime working age residents are immigrants. Doesn't say what percentage of those immigrants are undocumented. Ag, hospitality, construction rely on undocumented immigrants. Immigration crackdown could decrease state GDP by 275 billion. Most undocumented workers have been here an average of 15 years. And California is home to about 1/5 of the total U.S. immigrant population. That doesn't say undocumented, but immigrant population. Some great stats. Let's see what, before we move on to other events of the Valley, let me see if there's any comments or questions. Andy Mercado, who was doing the work before Biden let 11 million illegals in? The 11 million undocumented that Manuel, you and I are talking about have been here over 15 years, right?
Yes.
20 years?
Yeah. 20, 30 years. Yeah. It's not the people from 2020. It's back. It's 2013, 2008, 208, 99.
Okay. We need comprehensive, Cam Malloy, we need comprehensive immigration reform, something this country has needed for decades. This isn't about Democrats or Republicans. It's about doing what's right. We are a nation built by immigrants. To turn our backs now is to forget who we are. It's time we live up to our ideals and create a fair system and worthy of United States of America. Well said, Cam Malloy. Jenny Garcia, it's time Latinos that belong here treat the colonizers like they do in South Africa. Take our land back. Robert Wharton, Andy Mercado, who was doing the work before. Okay, we talked about that. Yeah, who was doing the work before by the way, Biden let how many folks in? We don't know. 4 million, 3 million, 10 million, 100 million, 500 million. Do we know how many people came here illegally during the Biden? But there's 11 million undocumented that we know that at least before Biden took office, and they've been here, sounds like an average of 15 years. Robert Wharton, the farmers put ads for $20 to $35 an hour, and no one shows up. Yes, Manuel, 20 to 30, 25 to 30 bucks an hour. Richard Smoker, how about you pay farm workers like all other industries? This will bring others, not just illegals, to work for you. I like that idea. That will increase the wages and more apply, but you won't, will you? I think that's what Robert Wharton was responding to. The farmers put ads of $25 to $30 an hour and no one shows up. And you just gave us 3 examples of people that want to file their workers' comp before even showing up. Forget the money. No one, the people that showed up, show up the workers' comp claim before even showing up to work. There's your answer. Okay.
Darius, one comment that you had put, the United States has employers like your employer, your industry, my industry. We hire workers on what documents they produce and present to the employer on their face value. That's what we've been doing for years to complete an I-9. So the employers are doing what they're told to do. If the president decides to give us work authorization for everybody that's here working, fantastic, because that is the only way it can happen. Those people here working in all of our industries would be given a temporary work authorization card. And the president said it several times, he doesn't want to hurt these industries. But when I hear people state that they're going to continue with the raids and the deportations and all that, and they're going to do it selectively. Well, wait a minute. Everybody that's listening to this call tonight, to your information, to your show, they don't, maybe not, maybe so. Every morning they don't have to worry about when they get stopped on the road because of who they are and their color and where they're going. They can go to work and not worry about maybe the wife being picked up at the restaurant because she works there. They don't have to worry about when they get to their job site, are they going to be rated? We and the employers don't know from day to day who's going to show up at work. So that is a tremendous problem for many employers. But the fear factor for the workers is massive. I've never seen more workers across the country in the last several months of worried of how they go to work. Even as much, Darius, they take and they remove their bandanas when they get in their cars. They take off their sombreros, their hats, because they don't want to be identified because of their hat, where they're coming from. They've changed the routes in which they drive every day. Other people don't worry about that any day at all. They never worry about that. But being that we haven't taken care of these people correctly, maybe the president, I would hope that he takes control and says what he said he's going to do, and that is issue temporary work authorization to all of these frontline workers, essential workers that were here during COVID, and start that process of having a guest worker program available, make it viable.
But Manuel, today, I think it was either today or yesterday, U.S. Farm Secretary says no amnesty for farm workers from deportation.
I hate the word amnesty. That is such a garbage word. If you want to say it, the workers aren't asking for free. They haven't gotten nothing for free. They've paid Social Security. All of these people have paid into Social Security. They've worked. They're clean. If the concern for the Secretary of Agriculture is amnesty that you're going to give to anybody and everybody, no. The president said these industries that are viable, that are essential to this country, and you're not giving amnesty, you're granting a work authorization card that they will have to qualify for. They have to fill out an application, they'll have to do a biometrics, they'll have to do a fingerprint, they have to do a health thing. All of those quick type of things would happen. But these people are not here asking for freebies. They have given. They've given to this country, they've given to the nation, provided the most safest food with the farmers, provided the most healthiest food in our restaurants, hotels, provided the most greatest housing that anybody could ever ask is being done by these people. Nobody is asking for a freebie. And I would hope that we have commented, we are sending a comment to the secretary on that discussion below.
I'm going to get to that here in a minute. I also want to point back to slide 27. Fresno County Supervisor Luis Chavez had an opinion page on GB Wire on the need for comprehensive immigration reform. Let's put slide 28 up, which is kind of the building blocks of smart reform, a path for earned citizenship, a guest worker process for in-demand industries, dreamers given priority, and a fast track for earned permanent citizenship, secure border to ensure violent criminals, terrorists, and cartel members can't enter our country, clear criteria for refugees seeking asylum, and eligibility points, which makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I've this can't be that complicated, by the way. Immigration reform. We need labor. We need brain power as immigrants. We need investors. And our government should come up with a quota every year, how many people. We vet them, make sure we're not letting criminals into our country, and we have a legal, easy immigration policy that works, addresses the needs. But as we've heard on this show many times from folks commenting, is not getting immigration reform done, gets both sides, raises a lot of money for both sides. And it really, the Democrat presidents, Republican presidents, and Congress have not been able to get this through. There's a lot of smart people in government. I'm just really embarrassed to say that we haven't been able to deal with this issue for, well, since Reagan, 1986. Last time we had some kind of a immigration reform act, and nobody else has dared to lead this country. I don't want to say I'm hopeful. I'm going to say I'm hopeful that President Trump is going to go. This is a need of the country. We got to deal. If we want to bring manufacturing here, we want to bring nearshoring or onshoring with so much manufacturing, so much labor. We got to get the immigration. We got to get these folks documented. Background checks. Nobody wants open borders. Nobody wants criminals in our country. Criminals, felons. And it's going to take a while. But the deporting 11 million people or 15 million people is probably going to cost over $1 trillion. And by the way, we're going to deport people that have been here 20, 30 years. Let me get to a few other comments, and then we're going to move on. Myrna Navarro Garcia, undocumented labor force contributes $8.5 billion in taxes to the state of California monies and receives no benefits. They live in the shadows. Becky Wharton, so if immigrants aren't working, are you okay if they're deported? If we have undocumented or illegal folks that are not working, that's a good point. You have any thoughts on that? And before we get there, English legal lawmakers on all sides for many years have ignored this problem, and Biden just made it worse. Now President Trump needs to clean up the big mess. Why don't do the good, hard-working illegals turn in the gang members and criminals to ICE? I wish it was that easy, by the way, as Inga is. I mean, if hard-working illegals knew gang members, I mean, I don't know. Do you know gang members just because you're here undocumented or illegal? I don't think so. But uh, I think if we created a good pathway, was it something similar done with the Italian American community that the FBI or the Justice Department was after them? This, telling the American community that a lot of Italians are, part of the mafia, and then they made a deal. Italian community, it's my opinion, and I hope I'm correct on this thing, but this is my um, read on this. They made a deal with the Justice Department, and they said, "Listen, you can't paint us all or brush us all with the same paint. Majority of Italian Americans are overwhelming majority are good citizens. Yeah, we have some bad eggs, and if you go on and publicly say that, Justice Department, we'll turn over the bad guys. Well, we know who they are. You don't know. It's going to take you much longer. It costs you a lot more money to find out who the bad guys are." So the same thing could apply, I think, to part of Inga's point on uh, criminal activity or gang members. Nobody wants, none of us want uh, gang members imported or breaking into our country. Um, I think, let's see, any other comment? Hardworking immigrants are not hanging out with gang members. Yeah, I agree with that. Jenny Garcia, why is it only brown people being deported? I don't see black, white, or Asian being shipped out. It's just racist America doing their Nazi thing. Any comments on that, Manuel? On Jenny's point?
The first thing upon race, I don't know what gang members nationality. I just know that they come from all over the world, the bad people. But um, to the comment about hardworking immigrants that are unauthorized here don't hang with gangs, and gang members don't come and do their jobs. I have never in my 35 years ever seen a gangbanger picking fruit on a ladder. He is not, or she is not, in this case, mostly hymns, males. Um, they're going to go after where they can make big bucks, and that's human trafficking and drugs. And they're not going to go into the fields. They're not going to go into a restaurant and scrub pots and pans or be a chef. I'm sorry, they're not going to do it. It's just not going to be there. So um, uh, we have all sorts of bad people that are in the United States, and they have to be removed. But back to your point way back, Darius, is that the Congress has used this for political purposes to get reelected every 2 or every 4 years. And the presidents have used it as well as a tool to get reelected. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to finalize immigration. We're going to do all this. And just like DACA was an executive order. DACA has tremendous amount of scrutiny that it went through. DACA should automatically now go to permanent residency and then have the opportunity to apply for citizenship. The process is a temporary work authorization. After 5 years, then the next 5 years you can apply for permanent residency. And then after that, then you can apply for citizenship. That's in the immigration law already. Most workers don't want citizenship. They just want residency so they can travel back and forth to their country.
Manuel, in the next minute or so that we have left, what is the call to action? What do you want the GB Wire Unfiltered audience to do? Do you want them to email the local congressman? Do you want them to email our senators, Senators Padilla and Schiff? What is your message to the audience tonight? And then we're going to talk about the vote on the one big beautiful bill and talk about some local fireworks before we sign off. So in 1 minute or less, what is your message? What is the call to action?
I would ask every one of your listeners and their friends to write to their congressman and to their United States senator to please get the president and the secretary of Homeland Security and the secretary of Labor and Agriculture to move forward on a temporary work authorization card for all of those people working in industries to support that move now, because we don't need the other outcomes. The other outcomes can be horrible and bad, and because that's what forces people into. So asking your audience to please contact their congressman and say support giving all of these workers that are here unauthorized a temporary work authorization card. Please don't deport them, because are the they are the potatoes and the meat and potatoes of this country.
Or,
And
or, or Congress either do that, get a pathway to legalization, or round everybody up and deport them and see what happens to our country. See what happens to our this middle of the road stuff. They need to. I think actually Council Member Miguel Arias put it really well a few weeks ago on this program. He said members of Congress that cannot support comprehensive immigration reform should resign. Honestly, this is one of the things that's plagued our country. 11 million for at least 20 years. Deal with this problem. Either say, you know what, Americans can do the job, and there's a lot of comments. Americans can do the job. Deport everybody. Okay, deport 11 or 15 million people. Find them, round them up, deport them. I don't know where you would deport them to. Maybe it's wherever they can find. Deport them. Actually, just hold them in custody for a month. Maybe it's for a week, and see what happens to our country. See what happens. Either do that or create a pathway. This in limbo business is what's harming our country. I have friends that are right wing, extremists, I should say. They go, hey, everybody should be deported. I said, okay, get ready, because do you buy groceries? Do you buy fruit? Are you going to buy a home? Are you going to hire labor to do, whether it's mowing your lawn or whatever it may be? And do you go to restaurants? Well, I expect to pay substantially more and not be able. I think, Manuel, you put it really well. Some of these places are going to shut down. You may not be able to go to a restaurant.
that's
And
right.
and I think our policymakers need to be honest with themselves and with the American public to say, here's what we're going to do, and here's the consequences of what we're going to do. Not just have rhetoric that raises money. Um,
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay on, Manuel. There's a couple other things we're going to talk about that you may want to opine on. Let's put the slides 29. Let me see if there's any final comments. Mirna Navarro, thank you for all your open, transparent conversations on this platform. Inga, I'm writing directly to the president. Our senators are useless. Okay. Becky, Becky Wharton. Meanwhile, my teenage kids can't even get a job at fast food places anymore. Wow, that's interesting. Cam Malloy, thanks, Manuel, for all the work you've done over the years, and thanks to Darius and GVWire for tonight's show. This is such an important issue. Okay, don't go away. A couple of other issues to cover. Valadeo cost a spar on what passage of Trump's bill means for Medicaid recipients. Great article on GVWire. And here's the vote. Let's put slide 30 up. Valley congressman, that's how they voted on the big, beautiful bill. Basically across party lines. I understand Congressman Valadeo changed his mind. He was a no vote and then he became a yes vote, probably under immense pressure by Republican leadership. July 4th. Okay, this is going to be a poll that's going to go out tomorrow. Do we continue with fireworks? Fresno Fire responds to 190 incidents in 12 hours. Including 122 fires and 1,500 illegal fireworks complaints. A fire near Island water park on Friday night required 16 firefighters. And yeah, there's a lot of fires and there's a lot of pictures on social media. Do we, what do we do as a city? There's going to be a poll that goes out tomorrow on GV Wire. Please get a chance. If you get a chance, please fill out the participate in the poll. Should we continue to sell fireworks? Should fireworks be contained to certain areas and ran by specialists and experts, whether it's at schools, at open areas where there's no risk of fire? I mean, it happens in July 4th, and California has been pretty dry with like a matchstick. So, what should fireworks look like? Or should we continue at the rate we're going? Or should government or specialists, people that know what they're doing, have fantastic fireworks shows in all across our city, multiple locations, and not allow fireworks by individuals that don't know what they're doing? It's going to be a poll. Please pay attention. Please participate in that poll. By the way, one of the other options is going to be, should we just go to drone fireworks done by specialists that know how to operate drones? Madera County Sheriff logs 29 fire-related calls on 4th of July, most in 5 years. And then Fresno police arrest 9 at Independence Day DUI checkpoints. Let's put slide 34 up as well. The fires, Fresno County, fish fire burns 15 acres near Avocado Lake, 50% contained. Tulare County, flume fire burns 65 acres in Sequoia National Forest. San Luis Obispo Madera, San Luis Obispo's Madre fire near New Cuyama grows to 80,000 acres, 35% contained. Drone shows from Norma Flores Fason at Cam Malloy. I think it's time to ban fireworks. Go to the shows. Norma Flores Fason, no gardeners, no tree cutters, no one to clean out homes, no cooks at local restaurants. It's going to get bad. My tree guy is leaving soon, saving his money. He told me many others are leaving already, which means they're self-deporting. He said he has to be very careful, but can't leave. He's been in Fresno, so great work for over 30 years. Government is not doing its job. Let's put Manuel back on. Government is not doing its job. I'm going to say it. I've said it many times. By the way, you want to know who's running for Fresno area offices in 2026? You have an article on that. Take a look at that. Let's put slide 35 up. Where are we at? No, 35. There you go. Thank you. Great article on who's running for office in 2026. Okay, now, last word. Manuel, anything else you want the audience to know about immigration reform? Find other ways churches, clubs, etc. can make money. Stop selling the stuff at every street corner. Inga Schlegel, I agree with that sentiment as well. Specialists should be doing fireworks, so we don't have to deal. How much money do we spend on putting out fires that weekend? How much property damage? Anyhow, why did people who have been here so long not done anything to get legal status? That's a good question. If somebody's been here 30 years, are they afraid of coming out of the shadows and getting deported? Manuel, you think?
Yeah, the question is asked because Congress has failed to do it right. After Ronald Reagan, they failed to use and get immigration so it's a workable, viable program for people to come and go. We didn't do that. So we used it as a means of only to be reelected. That's all it's there. Oh, we're going to deal with immigration this year, so elect me, man. I'm going to make the changes. Never happened. 30 plus years. And we have failed as a country to deal with it. Our Congress and Senate and the presidents have failed to deal with it. Now we might have a chance, but if we do it, let's do it right, Mr. President. Let's take care of the people here working, just like that lady just talked about her gardener. My God, if that all suddenly happens to everybody, then it's over. Forget it. Because once you take away the workforce that feeds the world, cleans the world, provides bedding and all of that, and they start to leave, if they start to leave, um, which most of them can because this is their home. They don't have a country back in Mexico or Central America. It's here in the United States. They've been good citizens, good people, families, churches, schools. So let's take care of them rather than what we're doing and is nothing.
A couple of other great comments. Lisa Guerrero, it's not it's not an easy process. We know of many. It's taking many who are taking 17 years to get appointments, still waiting to get permanent status. Myrna Navarro Garcia, no, unfortunately, that is not why. Our government has failed us. Immigration reform has failed over and over. Something that we've talked about many times on this show. English Legal said, it's doable. I did it. Complicated. Honestly, it should be substantially easier. And by the way, if we don't need any immigrants, we have enough labor, we have enough technology, brain power, smart folks, physicians, nurses, no more coming in. And then 5 years from now or 2 years from now, we need it, we open it back up again. And protect our borders because we don't want folks coming here illegally. But we got to deal with this. Government needs to act. So that's the message. You heard it from Manuel Cunha. Write your congressman, your local representatives, U.S. senators, Schiff and Padilla. And if you want a list of who your congressman is, you can email gbwire.com and we'll get that to you. But should they be eligible for medical and welfare benefits as well as college tuition? That's Andy Mercado's question. Jenny Garcia on the Jewish one got throw. Oh, the Jewish one got throw. Shocking. Okay. Should they be eligible for medical and welfare benefits as well as college tuition? No. Yes. No. Manuel.
They until you become a resident alien, you're allowed under immigration law certain things. If you're an employee, you get workers' compensation, and you're legally, you get Social Security. You can't draw Social Security until you become a citizen, a permanent resident alien. Then you're eligible for certain things. If you are legal in the United States, and we have to have that available, make that there for those people, then you're eligible for those things. But if you're not and you're illegal, then you can't. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. I understand that. But again, we have no system in place for these people to get legal, to make this pathway. And until we get this set up and to where we can have a viable immigration guest worker program and visa program to allow you to come here as a student and enroll as a student, then you're eligible for certain things. But if you're not legal, then that curtails the application. All undocumented people that are here, they have medical. That is not charged against them for their status. They have to be taken care of. Nobody should be left because they're undocumented for healthcare purposes at all. And we have failed on that front even. So I go back to your comment, Darius. The government has failed for too long to deal with this. And now Trump is trying to deal with it. So now let's deal with it the right way. And as I sent to the White House and I sent to the Secretary, Mr. President, will you meet with a group of us? And we will help you get through this. And we will get a bill done. We will work on a bill. We will stay locked up until we get the bill done. But bring the people that know the issues versus the person who is using it only for political purposes. Bring the real people to the table. And that is the industry, the people that work. And we will get it done with you. That's what we can ask the president for. And I don't think that's too much of an ask.
great point. That's a great ending point. I'm going to add one more thing because you brought up earlier. There's refugees that have come into our country because of persecution or because they've helped us. Afghani refugees, Iraqi refugees that have helped U.S. forces in that part of the world. 60 Minutes has done several stories on this, by the way, that we have turned our backs on. And we've recently deported refugees that helped U.S. forces in Afghanistan, which means what? As soon as they land in Afghanistan, they're going to be killed by the Taliban. That's a bad message our government is sending out, which means what? If you help our armed forces in whatever country, and at some point we're not successful in making sure there's a good government in that country, and you try to flee for your life because you helped our armed forces in that country, we're not going to let you come in here. That's a very bad message. Very bad. All right. On that note, Manuel, let's put on Manuel's company's name, Nisei's Farming, Nisei Farmers League. Since 1979 and 1971, you're almost the NFL is almost as old as the National Football League. No. National Football League is much older. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Manuel. Great insights. You've worked really hard. We've had a lot of great conversations about how to get comprehensive immigration reform, and we have neither one of us has been successful. I'm hopeful that President Trump is going to go, you know what? I want to take credit. Let's fix this shit. Shit, SHEET. EE. Sheet. Let's fix this sheet for once and for all. And he has the power to do it. And he's the kind of guy that goes, I'm going to get it done. Look at, he got that big, beautiful bill done in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know how fast it was. Nobody thought it was going to happen by 4th of July. So if he wants to do it, he can get it done, and the country will be better for it. On that note, Manuel, pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope that you'll come back as your conversations with the White House and members of Congress continues on this very important topic for our country, because nobody wants to be in the shadows. Either deport me or, first of all, I've got to find a place to deport some of the people that have been here that many years, or fix the system. And I really hope that if we fix the system, deport the criminals, it's going to be hard to find who is the criminal. And some bad things are going to happen, but hopefully our country will be better off for getting the bad guys out of here and create a pathway for, I don't want to say citizenship, legalization. Got to go, there's a path, there's step process. Become a permanent resident, your good behavior, 3 years, or sometimes 5 years, you qualify to become the citizen of these United States. One last item that I used to hear this. Nobody wants immigration reform. Because the fear is whoever gets the immigration reform under their watch, all those 11 million will sign up for that party. So if a Trump gets it, there'll be 11 million Republicans, more Republican registration. If a Democrat does it, it'll be, that's what, is that true? Is there any truth to that, Manuel?
No, it takes too long. As one person said, it took 17 years.
Yeah.
And most resident aliens do not want citizenship because they want to go back and forth to their country.
Got it. You know what? Did we lose the feed? Are we still alive or live on? I think we may have lost the feed. Paul, are we on live still? I think we may have exceeded our time tonight. But this is such an important topic that we want to make sure it's covered appropriately. Did we lose?
It's reporting. It's only live on YouTube right now. Facebook
Okay.
Crashed that.
Oh, Facebook crashed. So, okay. Facebook crashed, but it's recording and it's on YouTube only. Is it on our website? It's not on our website. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, it looks like we're Facebook crashed, so we're gonna have to get off the line, get off air. Manuel, thank you. Good to see you, and see you soon, my friend.
Take care.
Thank you.
Here, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.